Walt Whitman. Veritas. He celebrated you before you were born. He believed in you before you believed in yourself. Stay to the end. Some voices teach us facts, some voices entertain us for a moment. And then there are voices that remind us who we already are. Walt Whitman was one of those voices. He didn't whisper to the world, he sang to it. He declared it worthy. He declared you worthy. Stay with me until the end of this video, because when you understand why Walt Whitman mattered, you'll also understand why his words still matter today in your own life. This isn't just poetry. This is permission. Let's begin. What Walt Whitman is known for. Walt Whitman is best known as the father of modern American poetry. His most famous work, Leaves of Grass, shattered the rules of poetry. No strict rhyme, no polite structure, no borrowed voices from Europe. Whitman wrote in free verse, celebrating the body, the soul, laborers, nature, democracy, and the individual. He didn't write about America. He wrote as America. He believed poetry should sound like breath, like footsteps, like work, like love. And that belief changed literature forever. Walt Whitman's view on money. Whitman never measured success by wealth. He struggled financially most of his life. He worked as a printer, journalist, teacher, and government clerk. Money was necessary, but never sacred. Whitman believed that a life disconnected from purpose was far more expensive than poverty. He once lived simply, even poorly, while giving away time, care, and attention to others, especially wounded soldiers. To Whitman, abundance meant experience, not accumulation. His upbringing and education. Walt Whitman was born on May 31st, 1819, in West Hills, Long Island, New York. He grew up in Brooklyn, then still a developing city, surrounded by ferries, docks, laborers, and growing democracy. His formal education was limited. He attended local public schools in Brooklyn, but left school around age 11 to work. Most of his learning came from reading. Whitman was self-educated, shaped more by people and places than classrooms. His interests. Whitman was fascinated by the human body, nature, labor, and everyday life. He loved observing people, dock workers, farmers, mothers, children, travelers. He believed nothing human was unworthy of poetry. He was deeply interested in science, spirituality, democracy, and the idea that the soul and body were not enemies, but partners. To Whitman, everything was connected. His travels. Whitman traveled extensively throughout the United States. He walked cities, he crossed states, he observed the rhythms of a growing nation. During the Civil War, he traveled to Washington, D.C., where he spent years visiting wounded soldiers in hospitals, reading to them, writing letters for them, and simply sitting beside them. These journeys changed him. They deepened his compassion and sharpened his belief in shared humanity. His friends and influences. Whitman was influenced by Shakespeare and classical epics, but he also drew from ordinary Americans. Later in life, he formed friendships with writers like Ralph Waldo Emerson, who famously praised Leaves of Grass. Whitman also inspired generations that followed, including poets, activists, and thinkers who saw in him a voice of permission rather than instruction. He didn't build a school, he opened a door. His worldview. Whitman believed that every individual contained multitudes. He rejected shame. He rejected narrow definitions of identity. He believed contradiction was not a flaw, but a truth of being human. His worldview was radical for its time, that democracy was not just a system of government, but a spiritual practice. To honor yourself was to honor others. His family relationships. Whitman was deeply connected to his family, especially his mother, Louisa Van Velzer Whitman, who grounded him emotionally. He supported siblings throughout his life, often financially and practically. Family life was sometimes difficult, but it reinforced his sense of responsibility and compassion. Whitman learned early that love was not abstract, it was lived. His later years and death. In his later years, Whitman lived in Camden, New Jersey. He suffered several strokes, which left him partially paralyzed. Despite this, he continued to revise Leaves of Grass, treating it as a living document until his final days. Walt Whitman passed away on March 26, 1892, at the age of 72. The cause was complications related to strokes and declining health. Even in death, his final edition of Leaves of Grass stood as a lifelong declaration. His legacy and why his voice still matters. Walt Whitman matters because he gave humanity permission to exist fully. He told us it was okay to feel deeply, to belong without apology, to see ourselves as part of something vast and meaningful. In a world still struggling with division, shame, and isolation, Whitman reminds us, you are not separate, you are not small, you are part of the song. At the beginning, we said Whitman believed in you before you believed in yourself. And maybe now you understand why. His words weren't meant to impress you, they were meant to include you. To remind you that your life, your breath, your presence is already poetry. We hope this video has given you a different view of the world and opened a curiosity to continue learning more about the world and the people who have shaped it, and continue to shape it still. Because when you listen to voices like Walt Whitman's, you don't just study history, you remember who you are. Walt Whitman.